Doctor here. I hope you're very, very well. Greetings from a wet and windy Wiltshire. Hope things are good with you wherever you are in the world. So today we're going to be looking at gut food behavior with a twist towards anxiety. In the UK, we have the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day, and there's also Halloween. So it means that if you have an anxious dog and they're noise sensitive, for example, then it can be a real problem because it doesn't just happen on 2 dates. It actually happens over a 3-week period. So just while we're waiting for people to come on, I will apologize that I'm a bit snuffly because Ellie and I went to Latvia at the weekend, and I was lecturing on the first day. On the Friday, I was lecturing to vets, and on the second day, lecturing to the general public. And remarkably, on that first day, the vet day, we had 62 vets. And you're thinking, okay, 62 vets, that's a big deal. But in fact, if you think there's only about 1.5 million people in Latvia, and there were 62 vets in the room listening to raw food for the whole time. Greetings to Alice Marino. So if you multiply that up, we've got about 67 million people in the UK. If you multiply that up, the equivalent in the UK would be to have over 2,000 vets in the room. Imagine that, 2,000 vets all listening intently to a talk on raw food. The day after, we had about a similar number of owners and breeders and what have you, dog owners and breeders. And it was a very, very successful. If you've never been to Latvia, Riga is absolutely beautiful. We ate some wonderful food, met some really, really glorious people. So lots to reflect on there. So back to today, we're going to talk about gut food behavior with a slant towards anxiety. There's a lot of anxious dogs out there. Ever since lockdowns, there is a whole swathe of dogs who have anxiety problems because they had, their first few months of life, they had very little socialization, either with other human beings or with dogs. And so anxiety is not just a Halloween and November the 5th thing, and New Year's, come to that, but it's actually, there's a lot of dogs out there who have anxiety issues. So there's a lot that we can look at today. So we're going to look at supplements and herbs. I've got a little crib sheet just up there. We're going to look at supplements and herbs, diet, routines, exercise, mental stimulation, canine massage or canine Bowen technique, and enrichment activities. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at in terms of trying to help these guys to accommodate mentally. But we're going to talk about music, how that can impact with anxiety. We're going to talk about aromatherapy. We're going to talk about thunder shirts. We're going to talk about behavioral training. We're going to talk about calming wraps. We're going to talk about pheromone sprays. So lots to look at. Okay, so it's going to be jam-packed, really juicy half hour for you, and we are going to go through that. So without any further ado, let's get cracking. So let's talk about supplements and herbs first of all. Okay, many thanks to Vermex for sponsoring and allowing me to put time aside to develop content for you. So thank you very much to them. I'm going to be talking quite a lot about this product. It's a Vermex product that I formulated, I put together, and whether they're sponsoring or not, I would be talking about this product anyway, because I think it's actually very good. It's a very safe blend of herbs, and I only work with companies who I think are doing a really great job. So let's jump in. So with this product, it contains passiflora, chamomile, valerian, ashwagandha, fennel, lemon balm, hops, lime flower, lavender, and licorice. So it's really, well, I think it's a lovely formulation. All these herbs are very, 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 very safe. So let's talk about supplements. Then we're going to talk about herbs. So supplements, it's quite simple. There's many things that we can choose from, so I've just chosen a couple. The first thing would be CBD oil. Always get a good quality CBD oil that has been thoroughly inspected and that is broad spectrum. The second thing that I use a lot in the practice is fish and marine oils. So number one is krill oil. Can you read that? Yeah, I hope so. So we've got krill oil. It's a supply of omega-3. Omega-3 is very good for your joints and for your hormones and for skin. And it has a calming effect. They've actually done studies in prisons and schools and what have you. And they show with these studies that, for example, in schools, that pupils they get better attendance, they get better exam results, and less disruptive behavior, which is really quite magnificent. There's quite a nice vitamin D content in these types of products, and we're all more or less vitamin D deficient, or we're in a subclinical zone where vitamin D is very important for fighting viruses apart from anything else. So the other one that we use is this fella. It's called Nutricoat, and it's sardine oil. The beauty of these two, okay, and there are other products, but make sure that you get something decent, is that they're in capsules, and so you don't get any oxidation when you use these products. So there you go. Great for youngies, for oldies, for pups, for all dogs, essentially. Really, really useful. Now, herbs, like I say, this is a lovely product to use. It's organic, so it fits the bill in terms of sustainability. We're always striving to use the most regenerative products that we possibly can. So that's there. So if we look at some of the ingredients here, I've got these because as you see on the on the shelf behind me and over here, I've got lots of herbs, and so I can make up specific formulas. It's a formulation that's kind of getting the best of the calming, relaxing herbs that I've got, and we've put them in. They're at a low level, therefore very safe, but it's a great little formula for anxious dogs, or where you need some just to kind of just bring the temperature down, the emotional temperature, not the temperature. So first herb, this is a tincture that we always use because we find it's really good. You can put it in the food and it works great. So this is chamomilla. This is known as the mother of the gut, so it's very soothing and calming to the gut. I see quite a lot of dogs who are anxious, defensive, perhaps even a little bit snappy, simply because they've got gut pain. So chamomilla in herbal formulations is often a very good thing. It's also, my mother, bless her, always used to have chamomile tea before bed because it has it's been used historically as a calmer. So chamomile, absolutely wonderful. The next one is a marvelous tincture. It's called passiflora. These are flowers that you can get in British gardens, and the flower looks like it was something from a sci-fi movie. If you don't know it, have a little Google. It really is a beautiful and unusual looking flower. And passiflora, as it suggests, it's called the passion flower because it helps to moderate the passions, and therefore is incredibly useful, and that's why we put it in with the mix. The next one is the one that most of us know. This is Valeriana officinalis, called officinalis because the monks used to grow it in the garden next to the kitchens. Okay, so it's officinalis. And then finally, one of my favorites, this is Withania. We're using dried herbs in the Vermex mix, but then these are tinctures. Withania somnifera, and Withania is an adaptogen, and all the adaptogens, there's 20 or so adaptogens, and they're all very good at helping with coping with stress, reducing cortisol, and improving fatigue, and just kind of keeping going when the odds are down. It's the adaptogens. The classic is ginseng, which is what the Russians gave to their cosmonauts to allow them to be up in space for months on end. So it's tried and tested. All the adaptogens are tried and tested, and the beauty of Withania, it's the only adaptogen, as you can see from the name, somnifera. Sounds like somnambulism, yeah, sleepwalking. It has a gentle calming action, yeah. So most of the adaptogens are either mild or quite strongly stimulating. Withania helps with fatigue and coping with stress, but it is the only one that actually calms the patient. Stunning stuff to be recognized and looked at. If it's a bit like Blue Peter today, isn't it? If you're interested in herbs, this book, it's quite a tome, won't cost you much from booksellers. If you're interested, this is a wonderful book to look at. It's by Wynne and Fougere. Susan Wynne, we saw her in Helsinki recently. She's a powerhouse of knowledge of herbs and food. And Barbara Fougere is a wonderful Australian colleague who pretty much is the top herb vet in the world. And Barbara, if you're watching, well done. Well done, Susan. Well done, Barbara. Great book. Very readable. It's great as a reference. It's great to get you started in your journey when it comes to herbs. So, diet, like we can't have the gut doctor without talking about diet. The diet question is really quite simple. If you feed dogs on high carbohydrate, poor ingredient kibbles and tins, it stands to reason that they are not going to be as healthy. Also, the microbiome is going to be compromised because obviously your microbiome is only as good as the food going in. There is a wonderful book here, he says, juggling. And this is the one to look at. Oh, where are we? Here we go. This is the book. I've got it on Kindle because then I can word search through the book. It's The Psychobiotic Revolution by Anderson and Cryan. Okay. I've talked about this before. We did a similar talk last year. So if you're interested in microbiome and how the gut and the microbiome communicate and the implications of that, then just check back on the Vermex website. They've got all of these also on my YouTube and my Facebook page as well. So lots of information. Karen says Psychobiotic Revolution is so good. Bless you, Karen. That's great. And Sasha is there. That's really, really great. And Sasha says more books. Sorry, Sasha. Lovely to see you, though. Okay, so so diet is really quite simple. If you feed a species inappropriate, ultra processed diet, don't be surprised if you get gut pathology, if you get skin pathology, if you get mental behavioral pathology. I always think feeding ultra processed kibble is a bit like giving a kid a Mars bar and an espresso. Yeah, because the starch is basically just sugar molecules which are all linked together like the beads or a pearl necklace. Okay, so you go dig, 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 like this. And when you break down starch, as we all know, it releases sugars, and sugars when given to any mammal can be very stimulatory, but when given to a facultative carnivore who aren't really designed to eat sugars, then this is a really, really bad idea. So there we go. So the diet question is really quite simple. We need to put in the very best of ingredients into our dogs so that they can have the best biome. If you've got great biome, you're much more likely to have much more balanced and clear mental function. So really, really important. Try, if you're not keen with feeding raw for whatever reason, unfortunately, I would absolutely put most dogs in the UK onto a raw food diet tomorrow. Then there are some very nice fresh food, that is to say lightly cooked options that you can go for. You can just Google these things and you'll be able to find them. Okay, so let's have a look. What's on next on the list? Maintain a consistent routine is logical. My two know exactly when it's 8 o'clock because that's morning walk time, and so they will start pestering me at about 5 to 8, and then again at about 5 o'clock. It's quite interesting. In the evenings, they will try it on from about 4 o'clock, going, "Come on, Dad, let's go for a walk." But that's what we do. So some dogs more than others, they are clock watchers, and they just know what time of the day it is. Okay, so a consistent routine is a really good idea. However, saying that, I think many dogs do well if you feed, even if you feed twice a day, you within a fairly narrow window of about 6 hours. And I think if there is variability within that, most dogs can cope. So yeah, so if you're feeding once a day, if you feed sometimes at 2 o'clock, sometimes at 5 o'clock, sometimes at 4 o'clock, etc., it can help with that anticipatory anxiety that we often see with some dogs, which can result in hunger pukes. In some dogs. Some dogs just can't cope with feeding once a day, in which case if you feed twice a day, well, that's it. It is more difficult to feed variably, but I think that there is wisdom in it, especially if you've got hunger pukes. Okay, regular exercise goes without saying. If you've got a dog who, especially collies and springers and what have you, and they're not getting enough exercise, they are going to be pretty unhappy, and they're going to be, like a tinderbox. They're going to be, just completely wired the whole time. So it's really obvious. I'm just putting it down for completeness sake. Okay, get those dogs out and walk them as far and as long as you have got time to do so, given their age and their abilities and what have you. Okay, so a mile to a Chihuahua is going to be an awful lot more than a mile to a deerhound. Okay, obviously. Okay, mental stimulation. So to engage with your dog during the day and stimulate the brain, playing games, scattering treats outside, these kind of things, hiding treats under what do you call it, plant pots, and these kind of things in the garden, really, really good. Bones, raw bones, got to be raw, guys, are very good because they can just engage the dog for potentially hours on end, which is great. So keep your dogs stimulated. So going outside the house, or maybe even somebody will come to the house, then don't forget that canine massage can be very, very influential with our dogs. Also, there's a wonderful woman called Maddie Casey who we use a lot. She's in Bristol and she does canine Bowen technique, and it's a variation on canine massage. But these things are very, very, very valuable, and if you can develop a relationship with the canine massage therapist or the Bowen technique therapist, then the dogs, they just go in and they'll just relax. Even some of the most highly strung dogs, they just go in and they absolutely love it. If your dog is having erratic behavior, I think it's really quite important to get a vet check to make sure that there's no pain or any other potential organ issues. You know, if you've got kidney disease, for example, you can get increased urea, and that can change behavior, as a very simple example. Seeing a behaviorist to help guide you with a strategy to move forward with these things. But everything that we're discussing today can complement what the vets bring to bear and what the behaviorist brings to bear. Okay. I've just written a piece on these themes for Vermex, and that's going to be on the website shortly. Keep your eyes open, and that would be a valuable thing to do. If just while I'm thinking of these things, if you're interested in looking at these, if you just contact vermex.com, there's phone numbers and emails and what have you. If you want to get a hold of some of that product, then absolutely great. So the next one is music. Believe it or not, there are some studies to suggest that soothing music, classical music, and there's even Margaret Coates. She's an animal healer friend of mine, very brilliant lady. She's a big fan of music actually written to calm dogs. It sounds ridiculous and you're probably smirking right now. Don't. It's really genuine. It really is genuine. And so you can find these things online. And actually, I looked on Spotify recently, and there are just screeds of music, especially written for dogs. So sounds ridiculous, but actually it's a really good thing. The other element with playing things for your dog, and Firework Night is coming up, is there are, in the old days it used to be CDs. Nowadays you'd probably be able to download these things, and they are lots of tracks of fireworks. Okay. And what you do is initially you play it, this is for the firework phobic dog, you play it very, very low for a short period. And then gradually, as the dog gets used to the cracks and pops and crackles and things on the firework audio, you can gradually increase the duration that they're exposed and also increase the volume, so that when it comes round to Firework Night, then they have a certain familiarity with those strange and sharp noises. So really important to have a look at that. You probably, we're the 19th of October, so you've probably missed the boat for this year, but New Year is a few months away, and you have plenty of time to develop things in that direction. So check it out. You find it on YouTube, on Spotify, on all of these channels. Aromatherapy. The person that I talk to when I've got questions on aromatherapy is Caroline Ingraham. She's aromatherapy, zoo pharmacognosy, and it's using essential oils and hydrosols to influence behavior, appetite. They can even use it for diagnostics as well. So really very important. I wouldn't just go out and buy some essential oils and have a go. I would do some homework. At the very least, check out her website. Don't know what it is, but it'll probably be something like carolineingraham.com, something like that. Check her out. She's written several books. I've done the food side of things to several of them, actually. And yeah, do some reading. It's really, really, really fantastic. Just a few other things. Thunder shirts can be very, very useful for the anxious dog, especially if you've got just a certain period that you need to cover them, or you need to help them in the car, for example. It's situational support, in which case thunder shirts, worth their weight in gold. They're just kind of a snug fitting vest, if you like. It's a bit like swaddling. You know, in the old days they used to swaddle babies, and it had that gentle compression has a very soothing effect on babies. And now we know it actually works with dogs as well. You can also get calming wraps, which are similar. It's like a bandage that you would use. Go easy. You don't want to constrict and constrain your dog too much. Okay, really, really important. Behavioral training. Find yourself a good behaviorist, a good trainer, and work with them. I would suggest every puppy should see a trainer at the very least for, you know, a number of lessons or a number of sessions, in order for you to learn what the dog is saying and for the dog to learn what you're saying. It's worth its weight in gold. It's a bit like having kids and not sending them to school to socialize, to learn their P's and Q's. If you do it on your own, you know, you might get away with it. But if you're working with somebody who's been down this road many times before, they're going to be able to steer you around any obstacles, any potholes that you might otherwise stumble on. So, good trainer, good behaviorist, worth their weight in gold. Simple stuff, and you probably already know, but I'm just going to say it there. Please do consider that. Even if your puppy is absolutely perfect, let's get them working in the very, very best possible way. If you have got an anxious dog, then definitely you need to do all these things, the vet, the behaviorist, and what have you, okay? As well as some of the things that we've been discussing here. And finally, pheromone sprays. You know, pheromones are chemicals that you give off which can signal to others in your species, you know, if you're anxious or angry or whatever it might be. Okay, very, very important. It's part of the language that mammals especially use to communicate with each other. And there's one product that you can get it online. They either do sprays or they do diffusers. It's called Adaptil, and it's a pheromone which is derived from nursing bitches, and this is a calming pheromone which they then communicate with their puppies, so that the puppies can be completely calm and relaxed when they're suckling from mum. So clever stuff. That's us really. We've looked at supplements, we've looked at herbs, we've looked at some really lovely herbs. We looked at diet, we've looked at routine, we've looked at exercise, mental stimulation, massage, we've looked at music. Okay, that might be new to you, but you're welcome to investigate that. We've talked about aromatherapy, zoopharmacognosy. We've talked about thunder shirts, behavioral training, calming wraps, and pheromone sprays. So if you have got an anxious dog, don't just sit and fret there's lots that you can do. You can either work with a vet, a trainer, a behaviorist, a zoopharmacognosist, a Bowen, canine Bowen therapist, and what have you. But don't feel that you're alone with your anxious dog. So there we go. That's us for just now. Let's have a little look at any questions. Any questions from anybody? Great. Penny van der Merwe. Oh, sorry, Penny, I can never get your name right. I do apologize. She's from South Africa, so we've got a South African contingent, which is brilliant. I met her in Helsinki, and she's a vet down in South Africa, and she is a big, strong raw feeder and pushing some really great holistic medicine down there. So greetings to you, Penny. I'm just looking at Tellington Touch. Yeah, that's another of the massage. Philippa Murphy recommended Tellington Touch, and she, it says TT Putch. Tellington Touch. Team is the other name for it. Capital T EAM. Sarah Fisher is the person to look at there. She's written a number of books on these things, and it's a very powerful intervention. It really is. And I find that owners love it as much as the dogs. Any questions? Okay, Karen, thank you for that. Karen says, I remember when I used to work at Guide Dogs, they used to leave classic FM on the hospital wing for the poorly dogs. I think it's brilliant. You know, it's a nothing to lose thing. Do not play them death metal, or punk or something like that. You may like it, and good for you, but something really soothing, really great. You know, nowadays with the internet, you can call up, top 50 soothing classical tunes and what have you. So I think it's good. It's also going to have an impact on you, having that gentle music playing, and we know there are many studies looking at heart rate of owner and heart rate of dog, for example, and that if you calm down, there is an impact on the dog's level of anxiety. Penny in South Africa says 528 hertz seems to be the right frequency. So that's great. That's news to me, Penny. I appreciate it. Zeb Boyle confirms that on YouTube there's lots of calming sounds there. Really, really good. So Karen, you're getting a good showing today. This is Caroline Ingraham, zoopharmacognosy, really powerful. Sim Smith, great to see you, Sim. Thank you for coming along. Anne-Marie, this is good. No questions for me. There's just lots of really, really valuable advice. Anne-Marie says you may need to desensitize the dog to the Velcro because you'll get this when you take it off, and some dogs really hate, especially if they're a bit kind of nervous to start with. So nice recommendation there from where are you, Anne-Marie? Yeah, lovely, thank you. Lots of, have a look in the comments, guys. There's lots of good stuff there. So Cheryl Tomlin says, I love my puppy groups. So she does a lot of work with puppies. And yeah, unless you want a delinquent, I think, doing some kind of puppy classes is a great idea. Philippa says, dog-centered care is very helpful for training resources. I don't know of those guys, but definitely worth looking at. And Jane, we'll finish with Jane. Bless you, Jane. Thank you. if you've got an anxious dog, a multi-pronged approach is really good. And she's saying, and I didn't choose it for this reason, she's saying that she uses this fella, the calming blend. They do 4. Yeah, there's the other 3 options are up there. They do a senior blend, they do an active blend, and they do a kind of a general blend as well. But this is the one we're talking about today. This is the calming blend, which I think is the bee's knees, but I would. Great. Well, there you go. Jane, really appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. That's pretty much all we've got time for today. We're going to be back here, same time, same place, on the 16th of November with the gut doctor, and we're going to be talking about the gut during recovery and the impact of antibiotics on the gut and what you can do to help your dog to recover from antibiotics, recover from surgery, trauma, and digestive upsets. So there we go. Until the 16th, have a great month. All the very best. Thank you for joining us and being with us today. This is Nick Thompson, the Gut Doctor, signing out. We'll see you soon. Thank you.